Hey guys, this video is going to be the first in a new series where I am allowing Patreon members as well as Twitch subscribers to submit teamfight and late game decision making clips onto my Discord channel, which the link can be found in the description below if you guys are interested in submitting yourselves. What I'm going to be doing is I have been asked so many times of how to improve late game decision making as well as how to execute in team fights, and I think it's best done by example. So by having these short clips, basically the same format as Judge Jamma, hopefully I'm going to be able to teach you guys about how to make the right choice in these very situational late game team fights. Let's go ahead and get started.
Banana slam jam.
So for our first clip submission, we have a 38-minute mark Willow, 5.3k MMR, wondering what he could have done better in this siege. So what we see here is that a Dawnbreaker is dead, but we know he has buyback while the players in the game do not. And PL is going to get Chronosphered by a BKB Void. Willow has absolutely no spells that go through BKB, so my answer to you is there's nothing you could have done about this occurrence. And PL is going to get bursted by the Void plus the Dawnbreaker ultimate. And so what happened here is a situation where we think about your spells, we think about your items, and there's simply nothing you could have done to prevent exactly what just happened. So that generally means that the fight shouldn't have been taken in the first place. The mistake that was made here is despite the fact that you're up 2 racks, you're up by 18,000 gold, and the fact that Dawnbreaker is dead, you guys are missing some crucial things. If the opponent has long cooldown spells like Ravage and Chrono that are very good for bursting you, then you should be very wary of ever going high ground without Aegis. Also, you might have been baited by the fact that one of the enemy teammates or enemy team was dead, right? But not all dead heroes are created equal. In this case, you're dealing with a global hero that is a counter initiation, also a follow-up if she were to buy back. So whenever somebody is dead on the enemy team, you have to consider what would happen if they were to buy back. And if the combination of them buying back with the heroes that are already alive were to turn into something like this, the correct decision is simply not to siege. For this next clip, we have a 3,500 MMR Meepo who says that he followed up the initiation from his Wyvern's ult and then immediately died. So this is another game where they're really far ahead. The Wyvern is going to start the team fight off with an ultimate, and he is going to proceed to go in, it looks like. He's going to go in on the Meepo, Dawnbreaker ultimate, and he's going to get slaughtered. So the problem with this situation that you're not recognizing is in team fights, it's very important to assess what each team will do in reaction to the opponent going in. So in your case, if the opponent were to focus you with 3 or 4 heroes, what would keep them from doing so? Like what on your team would deter them? The answer in this case is Wyvern ulti. On the other hand, if you were to try to focus the opponents who are grouped up, what would they do in response? And the answer is Dawnbreaker ulti, save from the OD and possibly the OD ult. So what you didn't think about here is that by Wyvern being your initiation, she's actually misplaying her hero, or at least you should not be using that as a ticket to go in, because that is what's preventing the opponent from focusing you. That is giving them the green light to group on you. So it's really important in examples like this to think about each team's reaction to when the opponent were to start the fight. And to just be more patient in this case. That's not a good time for you to go in. For our next clip, we have a 38-minute 1.5k MMR Lina submission. And he says that he feels like they botched the smoke gang / vision aspect of the move. He tried to put a ward in a useful spot, but the fight felt very clunky. So one of my first things I want to point out to all of my viewers is that when you smoke at nighttime, your smoke will break when you cannot see enemy heroes. So if you see supports with no wards in a situation like this, you should be either vetoing the play, saying it's not good, you need vision, especially the later the game goes, or just play the fight very cautiously. Basically acknowledge, like, this is not a good fight. I can't just abandon my team, but we're going to, like, chill. So you say you fly yourself a ward as a mid Lina. The fight felt clunky to you. We're seeing your Faceless Void go in. He gets Blade Mail called. You place a ward, which is trying to help you out. Honestly, a pretty nice ward placement by you. But it doesn't really feel like you can enter the fight, is what I'm seeing. And you end up on a sentry from the opponent. They've been pelting you with spells randomly. You're going to use your BKB to get a kill. And I'm going to say right now that this fight felt really clunky, but I think you did about all you could do. You didn't feel right to go in. You exuded patience. You know, you said, I don't feel comfortable with this. I'm going to place my own ward. This is more than I could ever ask of a 1.5k MR player. And if you're a core player doing this, I've got high hopes for you. And it's just important to always be patient if you feel like the conditions are not met for you to go into the fight, guys. And wards are absolutely one of those conditions. So I think that was very well played. Next up, we have 29 minutes into the game, 4,000 MMR Slark player who basically saying he thinks it's his job to initiate this team fight. He's not exactly sure what that job is, and he's wondering if he used his ultimate correctly and whether or not he should have tried to kill the CK with his ultimate. So let's go ahead and watch it out. The enemy team is sieging. He's wrapping behind, jumps a support, utilizes his shard first to burst down the Rubik. I will say this right now. So you want to think about your targets in regards to how tanky or survivable they are compared to how much they're going to do in the fight. Okay? So how impactful are these heroes in the fight compared to how hard they are to kill? And so as a hero like Slark, his job, since he has Depth Shroud plus his ultimate, is to cause chaos, draw attention to himself, and make the opponent react. So generally in these types of scenarios, no, you will not want to go for the tankiest hero on the enemy team, the CK. You'll want to go for the heroes that would protect the tanky hero that you can assassinate quite quickly. Especially since you were approaching the fight from the back, that makes it even easier. The only time you would ever go on CK is if you were coming from this direction, force the CK to use BKB or something like that, and then you would disengage, right? You're just forcing him to defend himself. Usually when you initiate on a core with a hero like Slark that lacks burst damage, you're not actually trying to kill them. You're trying to force them to protect themselves and then go on them again afterwards. Yeah, this looks like a good use of your hero. Forced a lot of spells on yourself, made the enemy team have to separate, and you picked them off. Not bad. Just important notes to keep in mind there. And once again, from the same Slark game, just a few minutes later, his comment is that he thought it'd be good to break an enemy smoke here because it seemed like the opponent was doing so, but since his team wasn't close by, was this still the correct play? So what I will say is this. When you are considering breaking smoke or doing something without your team there, it is very important to consider your own hero's survivability. So if you were a hero where you'd have to pop BKB here to live, or you might just die if you break the smoke, your teammate's positioning is very important. But it seems like you don't understand that Slark is very good at buying time. That last team fight, you bought a lot of time. Right here, scouting and then having the opponent be forced to use spells and react is a great part of this hero's kit. So you're just like poking and prodding. You have an Aegis, which allows you to do just this without actually having to expend your survivability spells. And even though it took a little bit of while for your team to connect, you can see that because you managed to buy time on a hero like Slark, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. As long as you are not just dying here, that's a very good use of your hero. And for our last clip of the week, we have a situation where sometimes you don't work for that greatness. That greatness is thrust upon you, as we have a 2k MMR Treant Protector who was just on a casual warding mission with his Eyes of the Forest Ags. Unknowingly, the opponent is roshing. He's going to get clipped by a Psyblade right here, which makes him realize they're roshing. He plants the Eye of the Forest. That's going to lead to a Meteor Hammer being channeled on the Monkey King, and then he's going to be allowed to Overgrowth and just waltz his way into the pit and take the Aegis and kill the TA. And all I'll say about this is way to be in the right place at the right time, my friend. Thank you for a good laugh. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, TA players. Sucks to suck. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you learned something from this week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll see you guys next week for some more Teamfight Clip submissions.